Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're demystifying SAP Convergent Invoicing, and specifically, we're targeting that absolutely crucial and honestly often super confusing distinction between billing types and invoicing types. Have you ever found yourself totally lost in the back end of SAP, just staring at your screen wondering why a final bill looks completely different from a standard monthly bill? Well, you're definitely in the right place. We all know SAP configuration can be a massive headache, right? Especially when the terminology sounds so incredibly similar. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how these two objects function, why they matter, and of course, how to master them.
Let's just dive right into this with a really practical question. Say you have a final termination invoice for a customer who's abruptly closing their account, okay? Now, compare that to a standard monthly usage invoice for an active, long-term customer. How on earth does the SAP system know to process and present those two things completely differently? Seriously, how does it know to trigger a totally different layout, different text, or even a different payment collection method? Well, the secret lies in understanding two heavily intertwined, yet completely distinct configuration objects. And once you grasp this, you essentially control the entire billing narrative.
So, taking a look at this high-level architecture, you can see convergent invoicing basically acts like a massive funnel. It's pulling in all sorts of diverse data from all over your system landscape. We're talking one-off charges from CRM, recurring fees from SD, or maybe raw usage data from convergent charging. But pay close attention to what happens inside that main box. See how billing in FICA and invoicing in FICA are two distinct sequential steps? They are definitely not the same thing, even though, let's be real, people use the words interchangeably all the time. Simply put, the system first bills and then, and only after that's totally complete, does it actually invoice. All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll quickly trace the convergent invoicing journey, compare billing versus invoicing types, unlock the real power of the invoicing type, and finally, look at the actual configuration in SPRO. Let's get to it.
Starting off with the convergent invoicing journey. Let's build a quick mental model of how this data actually flows. I always like to think of the whole convergent invoicing process kind of like a high-end restaurant. Okay, so in this analogy, the billing process is the kitchen. It takes all those raw ingredients, your individual billable items, the usage data, those one-time fees, and it preps them. It processes them and groups them all together onto a tray, essentially creating an internal staging document. Now, the invoicing process, that's your waiter. The waiter takes that prep tray, formats the final bill so it looks absolutely perfect for the customer, delivers it to the table, and then actually processes the payment right into the restaurant's cash register. The kitchen doesn't talk to the customer, which, let's face it, is probably for the best. The waiter does.
Moving right along to billing type versus invoicing type, let's break down the exact differences between the mechanisms that control our little restaurant analogy.
When you look at this breakdown, the division of labor is crystal clear. The billing type is all about categorizing the pre-processing and aggregation rules. It operates completely on the internal billing document. So for example, it dictates if there needs to be an invoicing lock, like holding a massive bill back and preventing it from ever reaching the customer because it crosses some financial threshold and needs a manual check first. It also sets up grouping variants to summarize recurring versus one-time charges. But the invoicing type, now that's the one that dictates how those billed documents are ultimately presented to the outside world and how they're posted to the general ledger. It controls exactly which application form is printed out. It assigns the specific FICA document types, and it even triggers optional invoicing functions.
Which brings us to the true power of the invoicing type. Let's explore how dynamic overrides actually build that final presentation for the customer. Okay, here's the absolute most crucial thing to remember. An invoicing type is not just some static label. Not at all. It's a highly dynamic control mechanism. The core idea here is that the invoicing type lets you react individually to the unique properties and the exact composition of the invoicing unit. What does that mean for you? Well, it means you can have a standard default invoicing process chugging along in the background, but the very second the system detects a specific invoicing type, like that final termination invoice we talked about earlier, bam, it dynamically overrides those defaults in real time and starts behaving completely differently. It's literally the intelligence of the system reacting on the fly to the data it sees. So what exactly is it overriding? Well, by assigning specific invoicing types, you empower the business to automatically trigger a unique printout. Think about it. A standard monthly bill might use your basic form class, but a final bill, that could trigger a completely different PDF layout that includes a personalized message apologizing to the customer for leaving. And it gets even more powerful. It defines optional invoicing functions.
Have you ever wondered how prepaid credit card clearings happen instantly the second something is invoiced? Well, it's done by activating a function, like PCARD_payment, that is tied directly to the invoicing type. This incredible feature allows the system to instantly and completely automatically clear open receivables using credit card data right there during the invoicing run itself. It's practically magic. And finally, of course, it dictates the exact FICA posting document types that will actually hit the general ledger.
All right, let's roll up our sleeves and get into the SPRO configuration. We're going to look at the exact setup steps in the FICA-IMG. Now, we all know navigating SAP requires knowing the exact menu paths. So just follow this little visual staircase straight through that often intimidating FICA-IMG node. You'll start up in financial accounting, move down into contract accounts receivable and payable, dive into convergent invoicing, then select invoicing, go to invoicing processes, and finally, you'll execute define invoicing types. That specific node right there, that is your master control room for setting up all those custom behaviors we just talked about. Check out the configuration table here. See how it lets you seamlessly map out totally separate document types for actual invoicing, reversals, and simulations, and they're all tied directly back to that invoicing type you just created. For example, you might set up Z1 for actuals, Z2 for reversals, and Z3 for simulations. This level of granular control is honestly exactly why finance teams absolutely love this setup. Think about month-end close. When a reversal happens, your accountants can instantly spot it in the ledger because it's tagged with its own completely unique document type. It streamlines auditing, it massively speeds up reconciliation, and it's all thanks to how smartly you set up the invoicing type right at the beginning. So, armed with the structural understanding of how invoicing types act as the ultimate waiter, uniquely controlling the document posting, the formatting, and even instant payment clearing, how are you going to leverage this to solve your next complex billing scenario? Seriously, the next time you log into your SAP sandbox, I challenge you to go in and create two totally distinct invoicing types. Just watch how beautifully they route your data to entirely different financial outcomes. It's pretty amazing to see it in action. Thanks so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep exploring, keep configuring, and I will catch you in the next one.